Hello and welcome to AP Dynamics Leadership Academy. My name is Audrey and I'll be your fairy mentor for all things leadership, team building, and performance improvement. If you're ready to transform from know-it-all to learn-it-all, then grab a snack, grab a seat, and check your ego at the door. Welcome to your next chapter. Well, hello. Welcome to today's episode, Authentic Leadership and the Power of Vulnerability. This is a bit of a continuation on last week's episode, Broken Trust Breaks Teams, How to Build or Repair Trust in Any Relationship. If you haven't given that one a listen yet, pop on over to episode 102 and give it a go. I spent a lot of time talking about the foundations of trust and what you can do to create trust with the people around you, and vulnerability and open communication are definitely the big hitters of that discussion. If you're on LinkedIn at all, and most of my listeners are, it's a pretty popular professional platform. But if you're on there, your feed has probably been full of perfectly curated profiles and posts that read like a PR robot spat them out, and everyone, regardless of industry or role, is somehow using the same robot. This isn't an intentional AI reference, though I guess there's probably some of that going on. But my LinkedIn feed feels like it's full of the same post over and over and over, and they're all pretty, okay? They all have nice words and a key message. Sometimes that key message is exactly the same and exactly what the next 4 posts have to say, and that's kind of off-putting, but what do us mere mortals know compared to the algorithm gods? It's all started to feel manufactured, like everyone is playing by an imaginary rule book and posting what they think is expected of them and what they think will make other people like them or engage with them, instead of just sharing their own thoughts and letting us see them for who they are and make our own decision about whether we like them. It's almost like every interaction there is a first date. Everyone's on their best behavior and putting on a good show, but it reeks of inauthenticity, and you can't ever get past that hard shell to see what's really going on, see what's amazing about this person that makes you want to connect with them. I don't use or engage on LinkedIn much because of that feeling. I find it really hard to connect with what feels like a facade, because connection is more than just hitting a follow button. Connection is based on authenticity. It's rooted in engagement and relationship building. And I do see that over there. Okay, I won't say it never happens, but it's incredibly rare. Take those same people, though, and look at their profiles on a different social channel. Bump into them in a grocery store or at the dog park. Totally different people. And it is wild when the pressure to perform in corporate or professional is off. Suddenly, everyone becomes incredibly interesting. They have hobbies and feelings and don't sound like robots reading the owner's manual for a Maytag dishwasher that came out of a Sears catalog. I know, it's a dated reference, because this is a dated way of thinking and interacting. The heart of modern leadership is authenticity and vulnerability. Stop being performative. Let people see you. It doesn't have to be all of you, but let them see you, because no one else can be you. You are the only person who can bring that to the table. You have unique perspective and experiences and insights that only you have. But no one can see that if we're all doing the same performance. And if no one can see it, no one knows you are the person they can tap for advice or trust for guidance or go to with a business issue they can't figure out. This is why authentic leadership matters so much. There's a lot of buzz around trust, authenticity, transparency, and the like right now, and understandably so. There's a lot going on in the world that makes it feel like we're kind of catching it from all sides. So people are really starting to lean in and pay attention and question things. We're all craving transparency, consistency, honesty. And people are looking to their leaders for those things right now more than ever. So if you're looking to make a difference or connect with your team or the people around you, start showing up authentically. Now, I want to be really clear about this. Authentic leadership is not about oversharing or turning your meetings into therapy sessions, okay? You can be vulnerable and authentic without sharing every detail and facet of your life at work. Can you tell your team, hey, I'm running on fumes right now and I've gotten a bit behind on my inbox, but I've set aside the hour to catch up, so expect a delayed response, but it's on my radar. Absolutely. That's perfect. Okay. Do you need to tell them that the reason you're running on fumes is because your second cousin's uncle's third wife, who has a drinking problem and could rival 2000 Winona Ryder with a dash of 2007 Brittany, recently moved in with you because of a midlife crisis with wife number 2 and a Pilates instructor? Probably not. All right. That was a little wild. Now I'm curious. What's the most unhinged thing someone has shared with you at work? Let me know in the comments or send me a DM on Substack. Keep it anonymous, y'all. And remember, we listen and we don't judge much, at least where anybody else knows that we're doing it. Okay. We've established that being authentic is not the same as oversharing or trapping people in meetings to serve as your therapist, even if it's cheaper than your copay. So what is it? What is this whole authentic movement about? It's pretty simple. It's just about being real, owning who you are, showing up and living your values, bringing that special thing that only you can bring to the table. When you do that, you start to build trust, not just through results and your accomplishments, but through relational credibility. And yes, skill set and accomplishments, super important, no doubt. But trust and relationships, those are what pave the way for longevity, joy, long-term success. People don't follow perfect leaders. They follow honest leaders, the ones leading by example and showing up with authenticity. And it's really hard to lead with authenticity if you aren't comfortable being vulnerable. I was listening to a talk that Brené Brown did once. You can probably find it on YouTube if you search Brené Brown vulnerability. Like, all of her stuff is on YouTube. But she said, vulnerability is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And is that not the base of every connected interaction you've ever had? Every decision you've made? She was defining vulnerability. But when I was listening to that, I heard leadership. Leadership is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And that's it. That's the job. That's the bare bones 9 to 5 or whatever hours you're working leadership experience. And this is why I say leadership isn't a title, right? It's a mindset, because you know who else experiences the same thing every single day? The same feelings of uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure? The people on your team. Every strategic pivot, every feedback conversation, every pushback or new idea that gets thrown out during a meeting, it goes both ways. And if you want your team to start showing up, you've got to set the example. Set the example that being vulnerable isn't weakness. It's kind of a superpower. When a leader admits they don't have all the answers, it creates space for collaboration. When they own a mistake, it builds trust. When they share a challenge they've overcome, it inspires others to do the same. I mean, think about it. Have you ever trusted someone more because they were honest about something they struggled with? I think we hit on this last week too with Carpet Gate, which, by the way, saw your messages were really hilarious about Carpet Gate. But that's the power of vulnerability. I'll give you an example, okay? A while back, and I mean years ago, I was working with a leader, and I'm going to call her Cait to protect the innocent, but Cait was an absolute go-getter. She's incredibly smart, super talented in her field, and she promoted really quickly. So compared to other leaders in the room, she's pretty young. She wasn't an experienced leader. She was a strong individual contributor before she got promoted, but she didn't have any experience as a titled leader. And I say titled leader because even though leadership is a mentality, something shifts when you're a titled leader, especially when it's the first time, because you're new at this and suddenly you feel like there's all this pressure on you. And most people aren't going through leadership training before they promote. They have no idea what they're walking into or what they're supposed to do. And making the transition from individual contributor to a leadership role is absolutely a 0 to 1 jump. It's a doozy. So Cait gets promoted, okay? And she feels like she needs to prove herself in this new role. So she did what most people do, and I've seen this countless times. She put on her armor. She weaponized competence, never showed doubt, always had an answer, never asked for help, never admitted when she didn't know something. You get the gist. Poor girl was trying so hard. She really was. She was working her little heart out, trying to be everything she thought leadership was. And no matter how hard she tried, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't working. She couldn't connect with her team. Performance was slipping, which compounded the stress that Cait was feeling already as a high achiever. She felt isolated. She's carrying this huge burden completely alone, looking around at other leaders like, how the hell are you guys doing it? Maybe I'm broken because I feel like I'm about to burst at the seams to talk to someone and everyone else is walking around like nothing's going on. Here's the thing. Cait was super likable, super friendly. If you met her out and about, you would never believe someone didn't like her. She was not that Cait at the office. At work, she was suited up for battle, okay? But a battle she didn't really need to fight, She wasn't showing up authentically because she never let her guard down. She was so focused on proving she deserved the role and overcompensating for things she felt were shortcomings that she refused to be vulnerable. She didn't even see it as being vulnerable. I will never forget this. It's been almost a decade, and I still remember the horrified look on her face when we talked about taking the armor off. I remember she told me, she said, I can't let people know that I don't know what I'm doing. I can't let them know that I'm not sure. They'll think I'm not decisive, or I'm a flighty, emotional woman, or I'm too young. I don't want to be exposed. And that's the kicker, isn't it? Being exposed. You can be exposed, or you can choose to expose yourself. One of those options gives you power. The other gives your power away. So the first thing I needed to do was show Cait that it's okay to be vulnerable. I needed to help her see the power in that because she needs to connect with her team ASAP and start turning things around, or she was going to be out of a job soon. We mapped out a few ways she could do that. Absolute baby steps, but they felt like huge, uncomfortable hurdles to her. For 30 days, she committed to practicing small moments of vulnerability, things like admitting when she didn't know the answer to something, but doing so in a way that felt empowering to her by making it a yet-based statement. So, I haven't experienced that yet. Can you tell me more about it? Or, I haven't seen those numbers yet, but I look forward to discussing them further when I've had a chance to review. Things like that. If you struggle to admit when you don't know something, it's so much easier when you think of it like, I don't know that yet, and then take action to learn whatever it is that you need to learn. We focused on letting people see she didn't have all the answers yet, which also meant asking her team for input. And the really big challenge was sharing a personal lesson about failure in a team meeting before the end of the 30 days. I really needed Cait to see she didn't have to be perfect in order to be a good leader. I needed her to believe that it was okay to make a mistake, to not have all the answers, to need help. She had to believe that before we could ever instill that in her team. So we spent 30 days working on it, and every week when we'd chat, she had more and more stories to share. More areas she'd opened up and shown vulnerability, and near the end of the 30 days, she was excited and almost hunting down opportunities. She was animated and bubbly, and it was legitimately like I was talking to a different person. She also knew more about her team. Not a ton more, because it's only been 30 days, but the team had noticed the shift, and they started sharing their own moments of vulnerability and stories with her. And they were building trust. They were learning each other's strengths and weaknesses, and ultimately they could rely on each other. When she mentioned not having the answer top of mind in a meeting, one of her team would offer to find the data she needed or send her the info in a side chat. When she showed a moment of opportunity, they didn't attack her or think any less of her like she thought was going to happen. They showed up and they jumped in to help her, and they were happy to do it. So she used her vulnerability, and it created opportunity for engagement. It created that opportunity for collaboration. And that's a pretty big shift for someone who was terrified to show any kind of weakness. those first 30 days were all about helping her see that it's okay to be human and see the power and connection that comes from being authentic and vulnerable. Because when you buy in and show up, your team feels comfortable and confident doing the same. We spent another 60 or so days building her leadership muscles, and because she was fired up and leaning in, her team was fired up and leaned in. Trust flowed freely in both directions, and performance skyrocketed. It was a complete turnaround, and all because she decided to take a chance and let herself feel exposed. Isn't it funny how one small shift can completely transform your situation? Anytime I discover one of those moments in my own day-to-day, I always have one of those Snapple commercials. I don't know if you guys remember that commercial. Where you want to like thunk yourself on the forehead, and I'm just like, geez, I wish I had realized or done this sooner. So what can you do right now to start showing up and leading with authenticity? Well, consider this your Snapple moment and me very politely hitting you on the head, because these are some quick wins you can get. Up first, identify your values and then live them. Show what matters to you and why. People want to know who you are, not just what you do. Drafting a leadership manifesto is a great way to do this. We talked about that in another episode, but outlining what good leadership means to you, what you value, how your team feels, even if it's aspirational, what you expect of yourself, things like that. It's your mission statement. So draft it, socialize it, and then live it, all right? The other thing you can do is admit when you don't know something. Remember that a yet mindset acknowledges the truth that you don't know, but it also acknowledges the intent to take action and find out. Give your team and those around you the opportunity to lean in and contribute. Next one you're going to do is own your mistakes. You don't need to be perfect. You do need to be accountable. It is hard admitting when you've messed up or when you've gotten something wrong. And it seems to get a little harder the higher you go because the expectations just increase. Every promotion, the expectations are heavier. But when you take responsibility and hold yourself accountable, it sets the example for your team and it gives them permission to do the same. All right. And finally, this last quick thing that you can do is share your lessons. Share your stories with your team, not just your wins, not just what's on your resume, okay? Use your past mistakes or lessons that you've learned as an opportunity to connect, to help your team learn something new, to help them grow in their own career journeys. Use them to build a longer table, not a higher one. You know, being on a pedestal is a lonely, high-pressure job that doesn't really help anyone. All right, key takeaways. Authentic leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being brave, being willing to show up as yourself, especially when it's hard. It's also about being open and willing to try new ways of doing things, creating safe space for vulnerability and leaning into others. As we close out the week, I hope you take some time to reflect on how you show up and areas you can introduce authenticity and vulnerability into your day. The great thing about leadership is it's all about relationships. So the skills we learn to build stronger relationships and see better results at work are the exact same skills we need for successful relationships at home. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a huge favor and let me know by giving it a like or dropping a comment, and whatever platform you're listening on, be a dear and hit subscribe. Let me and the algorithm gods know that you're enjoying what you've heard so far and would be devastated if they locked me away in digital nomad land. This is a new channel, so you sharing and engaging helps us grow and get this content in front of people who might not have the opportunity or, quite frankly, the financial means to attend a live event or book private coaching sessions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping others have access to tools to grow and become better leaders. And thank you for choosing to bring your best self to your team. Stay curious, assume positive intent, and enjoy the journey as a learn it all. I'll see you in the next one.